What it do is show Beezy to Shoboat, and we're going to talk about Drake's top 5 albums. And I think this is going to be interesting after you hear my take on it. So make sure you hit the like button on the video and subscribe to the channel. All right, so recently Drake and 21 Savage did an interview, and this is one of the things that he said.
I said the other day, I think this is a clear entry into my top 5 in my catalog, if not top 3.
Oh, God.
Now, I've seen a lot of different opinions about this. Some people agree that Her Loss is a top 5 album in Drake's discography, and some others disagree. So I'll give you guys my personal top 5 favorite Drake albums. Now, just to give a disclaimer, my top 5 will probably be a lot different than most diehard Drake fans because I was on the other side of the fence. I wasn't rocking with old Drake or early Drake because it was just too soft and too popish sounding for my taste. And it wasn't really relatable for me. And yes, I heard all of the albums at some point in time. It just wasn't for me. And that's cool. You feel me? Then something changed. In 2015, when the Drake and Meek Mill beef popped off and I heard Charged Up and Back to Back, I was like, oh, he talking spicy. And on production that I was rocking with. So this was more up my alley. I like gangster rap, trap rap, and up-tempo stuff. So if you remember this time, this is when Drake really started moving, talking, and rapping like he had a chip on his shoulder. Then he dropped What a Time to Be Alive with Future, which was mainly a slower tempo album. But I was like, oh, he can do this and use these type of beats. And then from there, me and Drake been good. You know what I'm saying? He's consistently fed that audience since then, sometimes more than others, but the music is always there, whether it's on his projects or on features. You know what I'm saying? So now that you understand my background with Drake, here are my top 5 favorite Drake albums. First, in my number 1 spot is Scorpion. There were a lot of skips on this album for me, but that was because he did the whole A-side, B-side thing where he was trying to please all of his fans. But the songs on here that I like are timeless and have the most replay value for me out of all his other albums. This is peak chip on my shoulder, talking hella spicy Drake. That's why it's my number 1. Number 2 for me is a sleeper, Dark Lane Demo Tapes. This is Drake's most complete album to me for my particular taste, with the least amount of skips. I know some people didn't like Tootsie Slide, but it's fire to me. D4L, Showing Love to Shorty Low and Stuntman, Desires, Time Flies, Landed, Pain 1993, From Florida with Love, Demons and War. Yeah, this album is slept on, but it is too fire. Number 3 is What a Time to Be Alive, the joint album that he did with Future. This is one of those mood albums for me. It has a lot of slow vibes on there, and honestly, Drake and Future complement each other perfectly over this type of production. And they really don't miss when they're together. I think Future is probably Drake's best collaborator. And honestly, I'm waiting for part 2 to drop since they said that it's already recorded and everything. So we just waiting on the drop. Now, my number 4 and number 5 spot get a little shaky for me. And here's the reason why. My number 4 is Certified Lover Boy. I honestly only like a handful of songs on here, but the songs I do like are always in rotation. My would-be favorite song on here is In Too Deep with Future, and Drake fumbled this song so crazy. If this song was just the second half with Future and Drake added a verse to that part, it would be perfect. The second beat goes too crazy, but the whole first half of the song is weak to me. And the slowed down UGK beat with Drake singing, it doesn't even belong on the same track with Future's half. This should have been 2 completely different songs, 2 completely separate songs. And this brings me to the issue with CLB and Her Loss. There's just too much of this. Like on the TSU song, there's a 1-minute intro that doesn't even need to be on the song. And the unneeded slowed down beat change on the second half of the song, for me though, these 2 things ruined a perfect song. I just don't need the incohesive beat changes and these random skits and intros or random people talking on them. If it's a Drake album, I want to hear Drake and the featured artist, and that's it. But mainly the beat changes ruin these songs that I would normally love, you know, if it didn't have a beat change. And I'm hoping that this stops. If I'm in the whip playing these songs, trying to catch a vibe, you can't do that with these beat changes, going from a mellow song to a turnt song or vice versa on the same track. And if I'm in the whip and I got all the songs on the playlist in the order that I want, I just want to press play and let it ride like I do with my other artist playlists. But you can't do that with a 1 minute and 20-second skit on the end of On Bush on Her Loss. And it's several other songs that's like that. But with that being said, Her Loss is my number 5. But many of the songs are devalued and have less replay value on Her Loss and CLB for the reasons that I just explained. So I agree with Drake that Her Loss is a top 5 album in his discography. But as a producer, songwriter, and just an overall consumer of music that I am, those would be my only 2 critiques. But I hope now that this trilogy is over, the skits and the beat changes are over too. What do you guys think? Do these bother you too, or am I just tripping? And what are your top 5 Drake albums? Leave them down in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next video. Show Beezy, I'm out.